All right, welcome to another episode of New on Uncorked, and we're here live on YouTube, as we always are, and we're stoked that you're joining us here this Friday in November. And what is this? The first Friday of November, believe it or not. Wow, this weekend is kind of crazy because for those of us who still recognize daylight savings, we fall back. And so that's kind of like what we're going to be talking about today. Continuing this trend, the last time we met was pre-Halloween. And we were talking about just some of the things that go on in culture and the like. And so this weekend with falling back, there's this idea in Christianity of backsliding or falling away. But there's also a truth of falling into. And so our question today is falling back. When we fall back in life, when we fall down or we feel like things are falling apart, do we fall back on Christ or do we turn and fall back on culture? And, this upcoming week, one of the most important things that Americans and citizens of the nation can do is vote. And so this week, a lot of people will be putting their trust and their hopes in government officials. This last week, we saw this tragic attack on a political official family. And so we have people who really do have a lot of hopes and dreams put in things of this culture. Again, government, society things. And they're not bad. Those things are not bad in and of themselves. For the church, for those who call upon Jesus Christ, when we fall back, when we feel like things are falling apart, what does it mean to fall back onto Christ, not fall away from, and not fall apart in the sense that nothing is redeemable. But how do we step out of that mindset? How do we not fall prey, as a lot of Christians will talk about, not fall prey to the darkness or to the just down of things of this world, and not saying that this world is evil or dark, because like we talked in our last meeting, there are some wonderful opportunities to celebrate life in today's world, in today's culture. So by no means would you hear any one of us demonize or say that culture is in and of itself a dark or evil thing. It's what we do with it. And so how do we, coming from a pastoral standpoint, coming from just a human standpoint, how do we guard ourselves? How do we really are aware, for those who are followers of Christ, and even people who are interested in Jesus, what does it mean to rely, to fall back into Christ and really have this trust for a person who claims to be God? And again, this kind of an absurd story that we continue to talk about. How do we fall back on this individual who is fully human like us, but then also God, and in his godness draws us in, invites us into this love that's out beyond this world, meant to be lived in this world, and will radically change our lives? It doesn't seem to make sense. So when you're talking to people and things like that, what is it in your minds, in your hearts, that is so comforting of this idea of falling into the embrace of this person named Jesus Christ?
One of the words you used, Matt, kind of this whole idea about falling back was trust. And so it kind of took me back to my youth pastor days when we used to do the trust fall, where, you'd have somebody standing on the top of the highest table and, in the room, and, you got I don't know, 5 high schoolers going, no, we'll catch you. And they're like, there's that sense of but hopefully, when you kind of look back and you see, okay, there's somebody that I know, at least one of those people will catch me. And so I think, when we talk about falling back, I think we fall back into the relationships that we've developed over time. And so I would say, when it comes to falling back on Christ, it's, when we fall back on, whether we fall back on Jesus or whether we fall back on culture, it's where we've cultivated that relationship. And so if we've cultivated our relationship with, people's opinions, the Jerry Springer show, movies or anything like that, if we find our solace and comfort in those things, we're going to fall back on those things. I mean, those are the things we're going to pursue. But I think if we're going to fall back on Jesus, it comes from a relationship, right? I mean, and the fact that we're willing to fall back, we're willing to allow him to catch us